This is the CBS Evening News with Morton Dean.
Good evening. President Carter has settled on a choice to head the Central Intelligence Agency. Mr. Carter's first choice, Theodore Sorensen, withdrew from consideration when his nomination generated considerable opposition. Robert Pierpoint reports on Mr. Carter's latest choice.
The president's choice to head the CIA is Admiral Stansfield Turner, a 53-year-old classmate of Jimmy Carter's at Annapolis, where they both graduated in 1946. Turner is currently serving as commander of NATO's forces in southern Europe, based in Naples, Italy. He flew back to Washington this week and talked with President Carter at the White House on Thursday. Although he would not agree to an interview, Admiral Turner did allow CBS News to take these pictures while visiting with his family here this afternoon, including his parents, son and daughter-in-law, and grandson, 2.5-year-old Scott Turner. The Admiral did say that he has kept in some contact with his old classmate, and when Jimmy Carter was governor of Georgia, invited him to speak at the Naval War College in Providence, Rhode Island, where Turner was college president at the time. After Annapolis, Turner spent a year in England as a Rhodes Scholar before starting up the ladder of his career. He's had several tours of sea duty, commanded a minesweeper, a destroyer, and a guided missile frigate, also studied at Harvard Business School, and worked in the Pentagon as an expert on systems analysis and as an executive assistant to the Secretary of the Navy. Recently, Turner published an article for the prestigious magazine Foreign Affairs, sizing up the relative strengths of the Soviet and American navies. The article is notable for its intellectual tone and for the fact that the Admiral does not flatly demand more money for a bigger Navy. Officials say that Admiral Turner has at least two things going for him to head the CIA: President Carter's complete trust and no apparent problems in the Senate confirmation process. Robert Pierpoint, CBS News, Washington.
It looked like a rather typical Sunday for an untypical family in the nation's capital. The Jimmy Carter family went to church. Nothing unusual about that. It's what they do on Sundays. But today was a special occasion for the family. 9-year-old Amy was baptized in the Christian faith.
If you're heading out for the ocean and your old buggy just won't do, get the sporty locomotion feel of a brand new Olds 442. The fastback style is what you need.
All right, they built one for me.
Turn on the fun in a 442. A sporty set of wheels from Oldsmobile. Oldsmobile, can we build one for you?
Ever read the insert in a box of cotton swabs? Never insert cotton swab tips into ear canal to remove wax. Yet inside the ear canal, excess wax can harden, even cause discomfort. But now there's eardrops and ear washer by Murine. Murine's eardrops gently, safely soften hard excess wax when used as directed. Then Murine's ear washer gently washes wax away and relieves its discomfort. Eardrops and ear washer by Murine.
A question that has been with us for as long as the natural gas shortage may have a preliminary answer within a week or so. A federal investigation is underway into charges that gas companies are withholding natural gas from the market, hoping that prices will be driven up. Interior Secretary Cecil Andrus, questioned on Face the Nation today, wouldn't comment on the results of his investigation so far, except to say allegations have been made, and normally human nature would tell you where there's smoke, there's some fire. In Pennsylvania, several energy firms didn't dig for smoke and find fire. They dug for oil and found gas, but left it in the ground. That allegation was made today by Governor Milton Schaap.
And I think there should be an immediate investigation of these allegations, because in Pennsylvania, we know of 4 wells containing 30 billion cubic feet that have been capped by the drillers. And they have not put that into the line. They're just holding out for higher prices.
However, the nation's top energy official doesn't believe the natural gas shortages have been contrived. The shortages are real, said James Schlesinger in an interview with U.S. News and World Report. The Coast Guard worked today to prevent another oil spill, this time on the Hudson River, 50 miles north of New York City. A barge carrying 2.5 million gallons of oil is stuck on a submerged rock ledge. Oil is leaking, but officials don't know how much has leaked. They hope to either pump out the oil or use a derrick to lift the barge out of the river long enough to repair its torn bottom. Jimmy the Greek is a man known for setting odds on sports events. The nation's Agriculture Secretary Bob Berglund says his department should be a kind of a Jimmy the Greek in agricultural forecasting. So he's developing a long-range computerized forecasting system that might be able to give odds on when droughts, floods, and cold spells would arrive. In suburban Chicago last night, fire swept through the Washington Park racetrack. The fire destroyed wooden grandstands, the clubhouse, a restaurant, betting areas, and jockey quarters. Total damage estimate, $15 million. Firemen searched the ruins for the body of a cleaning supervisor who may have been trapped in the clubhouse. Firemen prevented the blaze from reaching the area where 1,200 horses were stabled. The cause of the fire still undetermined. A new report on FBI surveillance came to light today. The target, according to the Los Angeles Times, was the women's liberation movement. The report says the surveillance was conducted for at least 4 years, up to 1973, at the order of the late J. Edgar Hoover, and despite the protest of some FBI field offices. Hoover's argument was that women libbers posed a potential for violence and could have threatened national security.
It's happening all around the house, right about now.
I'd like a Triscuit.
I'd like a Triscuit. I'd like a Triscuit. I know my family, and when they'd like a snack, they'd like a Triscuit wafer.
Great with cheese.
Or with a dip. Neat with jam. Or just by themselves. They really are good. Triscuit wafers, they're made from 100% natural whole wheat. And that's good, too.
A Triscuit, baked only by Nabisco.
I'm not surprised that Sominex is the best-selling sleeping aid in America. It works so well for me, and it must work the same way for others. Those nights when I have trouble falling asleep, I need to relax and feel drowsy. Well, Sominex helps me do just that. I take it as directed, and Sominex is safe and effective. I get to sleep, and I wake up refreshed.
Sominex, America's #1 sleeping aid. When you sometimes have trouble falling asleep, let Sominex work for you.
It sure works for me.
Tanzania's President Nyerere appealed to the United States today to tighten economic sanctions against Rhodesia's white minority government. The call followed his second meeting with America's new UN ambassador, Andrew Young. Robin Wright reports on Young's tour of Black Africa.
During individual talks with 5 presidents assembled for celebrations on the East African island of Zanzibar, Young said he was told that Black Africa was looking to the United States for help in establishing majority rule in Rhodesia and Namibia. Zambian President Kenneth Kaunda told a press conference after talks with Young,
if we're going to have peace, then countries like the USA must come in and help us. Britain has not got the will nor the ability to help the OAU solve that complex problem.
And after a brief meeting with Tanzanian President Julius Nyerere, Young said the Anglo-American settlement effort in Rhodesia was still supported by the African president.
But we should continue to press the British to continue the talks, and that in the meantime, the armed struggle would have to continue.
But despite the endorsement, Young did not get an overwhelming reception on the first leg of his 10-day tour. The new United Nations ambassador remained in the background during the 4-day celebrations in Zanzibar, seated with low-level officials instead of with the 5 presidents at a state banquet, and not receiving the arrival fanfare of tribal dancers and guards of honor accorded other delegations. Young even had to wait until each of the presidents could find time to see him. So far, the only fireworks from Young's first diplomatic mission were those at the final night of Zanzibar's celebrations. And perhaps most important, the presidents have not been willing to spell out exactly what new steps they want the United States to take. The reception has left some observers wondering just how interested African leaders are in direct United States involvement in their problems. Robin Wright for CBS News, Zanzibar.
Peter Minton is a 77-year-old Dutch art dealer, a millionaire, and he is facing trial as a war criminal. Minton was arrested in Switzerland late last year, accused of responsibility for the murder of 300 Polish Jews while he was a Nazi SS officer in the Second World War. Minton was expelled by Swiss authorities and returned to the Netherlands. Bernard Redmond has more on the Minton case.
Here in Lvov, in the western Ukraine, is where the trail of the Minton case ends or begins. This is Fiddler on the Roof country. Lvov was once known as Lemberg, the heart of Galicia, a hub of Jewish life and culture. But the fiddlers are hushed. Most of the Jews are gone.
For 6 centuries, this area was the scene of strife and war between hostile nations, irreconcilable groups, and opposing religions. Today, the Warsaw Pact keeps its secret military headquarters here. And in and around Lvov is where Dutch millionaire art collector Peter Minton is accused of murdering hundreds of Polish Jews. People here say they remember Minton as a former Nazi SS officer. The Soviet authorities are cooperating with the Netherlands government in gathering evidence on the Minton case. The Lvov authorities welcomed a Dutch official investigating team on arrival here to gather evidence. The Soviet prosecutor of Lvov, Boris Antonenko, flatly calls Minton a Nazi war criminal. Antonenko says the amount of material already gathered is ample to prove Minton took part in the Nazis' arrest and executions of those whom the prosecutor prefers to call Soviet people, intellectuals, and progressives. Another local source notes that 136,000 Jews were herded into concentration camps in the Lvov area, bound for extermination. Only a few thousand Jews are said to be left here. Where famous synagogues stood, one sees a gymnasium or an empty square. Nevertheless, the Minton case is a major war crimes affair for the Soviets. They say that if the Netherlands did not try him, Poland or the Soviet Union would have the right to put him on trial, and the sooner the better. Bernard Redmond, CBS News, Lvov.
And that's the news. I'm Morton Dean. Have a good evening and a good night.
From crude stone tablets to complex data banks, the world's great inventors have devised ways to assist human memory. One goal has been to get as much information in as small a space as possible. Now, Bell Laboratories has taken a big step closer with the invention of an electronic memory that's more compact than any other. We call it magnetic bubble memory because millions of microscopic dots of magnetism can be maneuvered electronically to store and retrieve information without using a single moving part. We're testing it in the Bell system as an economical memory for announcements. And like the transistor, also invented at Bell Laboratories, other industries may soon put magnetic bubbles to work in satellites, business machines, pocket calculators.
The Bell system. People using technology to help keep down costs and improve service. Keeping your phone system the best in the world.
This has been the CBS Evening News with Morton Dean. For an update on the news, watch the CBS Sunday Night News with Ed Bradley. Does the government have the right to outlaw magazines like Hustler and Penthouse? The arguments for and against on 60 Minutes tonight at 7, 6 Central on CBS.
Good evening. I'm Harry Chapman.
I'm Ruth Ann Leach.
In the news this Sunday, that Metro policeman shot while breaking up an attempted robbery talks with Eyewitness News about that incident, and a tavern fight claims the life of a North Nashville man.
Also this Sunday, the vice president of Nashville Gas talks about the finder's fee paid for emergency gas, and we'll have a report on that right-to-die case in Chattanooga. Ron Kaiser will have the latest on the weather.
Nothing particularly exciting, except it's staying pretty cold for us, with a little warming trend coming up over the next couple of days that I think most of us will be glad to see anyway. Here's a fellow we're always glad to see. Here's Mike Smith.
Well, the 24-hour Daytona endurance race is over, and actor Paul Newman fared pretty well, as you'll find out in a few moments. We've got lots of NBA action and highlights, and a quick look at the beautiful new Rupp Arena. So stay tuned for that and more on Eyewitness Sports.
60 Minutes, Sundays at 6.
A North Nashville man was shot and killed with his own weapon during a fight at a tavern at 1022 Jefferson Street early this morning. Homicide officers say 51-year-old Matthews Patton was shot when he got into a scuffle with a patron, Dempsey C. Hunter Jr. Hunter told police he did not know why Patton started the argument. No charges have been placed pending an investigation by the district attorney's office.
Metro detectives this evening are still looking for 3 armed bandits who fled in a hail of gunfire during a robbery attempt of 40 people at a private party.